Oh, it looks like we're live. It does a thing now where it just goes live instead of asking me if I want to go live. I don't know why, but okay. Well, as you can see, big thank you to everybody in the last live stream because I now have been able to do this thing with the chroma key where I can kind of float around. Oh, I should move this up. And let's see, yeah, it puts me on top of everything, which is pretty cool. Um, let's see. Is everything working properly? I think so. I'm just sort of here. I've got chips that I'm going to get on the table, and just like always, just ask questions, right? This is your time. I am here for you guys. And let me see. I do have some cool announcements. Pretty excited to share some of what's coming up. It's going to get a whole lot easier for anybody to learn to be a dealer, that's for sure. Let's see. Vu Tran says, hi, is that hard to be a poker dealer? The real answer is it's one of those things where most people can do it, but it does take a lot. So you're looking at about 100 hours of real focus, and that's just to get good enough to pass an audition. And then there's about 6 months on the job where you're constantly improving your skills and speed and all that. So if you consider that amount of effort hard for something that can pay you, 25 to 40 plus an hour, US, then yeah, that's hard. If you consider that to be easy because all you have to do is just kind of go through the motions, like think of it this way. A lot of people go to get a 4-year degree in a college, right? They're getting a 4-year degree so that they can perform the job that the degree allows them to perform. 4 years, like 4 years for you to be able to make sometimes $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year. As a poker dealer, you can learn it in about 100 something hours of lessons and training combined. I like to tell people closer to 140, but a lot of the industry says 100. I understand it's easier for them to sell that. But in 100 hours, which if you break it down, if you do 40 hours a week, that's 2.5 weeks, right? Realistically, you're looking at probably about 5 or 6 weeks. If you get all the skills done in 5 to 6 weeks, and then you're good enough to be able to get a job that pays that 40, 50, 60,000 a year plus, like, to some degree, why go to college? I'm not saying college isn't valuable, but if it's between, is it hard to be a poker dealer and you're comparing it to other jobs, like poker dealer is like that compared to going to college and trying to figure out how to turn that skill into something. But you also do miss out on all the connections and all that stuff that you get in college, and you miss out on a lot of fundamental education. Vutran retracted his message, or hers. Oh, I'm curious why you retracted it. I thought that was a great question. Is it hard to be a poker dealer? It's a fantastic question. But I understand that for your own reason, you wanted to remove it. I'm just kind of here setting up my table. I recently did a video that I have to release soon about a felt and a potential business partner. And I sort of need to do a follow-up with them before I release it. But it's got my whole table all crazy all over the place like this. And so here we are. He said, thank you, sir. Well, you're very welcome. I'm sorry that it felt like you had to delete that question. I thought it was a great question for what it's worth. It's like you're trying to figure out, is it something that you would want to put your time into, I feel very appreciative that last time I was on here, you guys taught me how to do this little like floating me thing where I can kind of just be me superimposed on top of other stuff. I really like this. It's super fun. Yeah, I feel happy about this. Let's see. It looks better on the green, I think. I'll put myself over here for now. You might think that I'm showing off. I'm actually not sure where I want to put myself in this. You can see I've got my True Poker Dealer logo up on the right in the corner, and I also have a live poker coaching logo because I am very much involved in live poker coaching. So I continue to teach people how to deal poker, how to be a poker dealer. And now I'm also involved in a project where I'm helping people learn how to play poker better. And live poker coaching is another YouTube channel that we are about to start releasing really, really good videos. And so I'm just kind of leaving it up here because I think this brand is something that's going to be really powerful soon. It all started out as a poker pro that I work with, Mike Lockey, over $1 million in tournament cashes. He decided that he had a lot of people asking him for coaching, and he didn't like one-on-one, so he would invite 8, 9, 10 people to his house at his own personal poker table. They would simulate hands, and then with them there, he would break down every decision they made. So we created a version of that is YouTube friendly, and we're doing 500 hands in order that are all simulated 2-5 no limit cash hands. So anybody that plays 1-2 or 1-3 and is looking to jump up to 2-5, or anybody that's currently playing 2-5, there's a ton, like an insane amount of value in watching these videos, and once they start getting released, this is going to be amazing. The stuff that's on live poker coaching right now is pretty cool. It's the samples that we were using to test it out. So what you see there has some similarity, but it's not like the finished product. And I'm really excited about all this. And then for True Poker Dealer, Virginia is apparently going to be getting poker soon, and I am involved in creating a version of the True Poker Dealer format so that anybody can learn in Virginia. I'm specifically trying to think through and build something that makes it so that if someone in Virginia is looking to learn, they're going to have an easy time doing it by partnering up with some of the people who are running the rooms up there that are opening these rooms, converting them from bingo halls. Vutran says, how often do you live stream? That depends. I am here Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern time, pretty consistently. I don't guarantee that I'm here every single Tuesday, but it's almost every single one. And I'm sort of just here to stay in contact with everybody, and I really enjoy the questions and the hellos and some of the old faces or comments and stuff like that. I also teach lessons. Whenever I build out my courses that end up being the paid courses, I do it for free for my audience. So, if you caught me about a month ago, I was here 3 days a week live streaming for a total of about maybe 8 or 9 hours. It's possible I'll do more than that, but for sure you can catch me on Tuesdays. If anybody wanted me to live stream more often and they help me understand how to get super chats or whatever for it, then I would probably be on here even more, because it's live streaming is a pretty fun and easy thing, and every time I do it I learn more about it, and I like it. So it is a little bit tiring in some ways as well, but not in bad ways. Let's see, where is my... I've got another case of chips somewhere. I just gotta go find them. They've got all my spacers and all that stuff. That's alright. Let's see here. I do want to get this out of the way soon. I think I'm just going to pull all these chips out of this case. And yeah, so right now, I mean, it's like the text says in the top. If anybody has any questions, anything that they want answered, just feel free to jump in and ask your question. That is what these sessions are for. While I sort of work on my own stuff, is the way I'm approaching it right now. And then later people can go watch it and get whatever value they want from it, which I'm happy to help with. Dan says, there is the green screen master. You like how I'm just acting like I've known how to do this forever, right? Again, big thank you to everybody in the last live stream teaching me how to do this with the chroma keys and all that stuff so that I can be a magical floating person across the screen. Someone called me PewDiePie. I thought that was a fun little compliment. it is a fascinating thing being able to set this up so that I can sort of exist wherever I want. It's way more fun this way, is how I would describe it. Let's see. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of people on Twitch. Vu says, do you have to have a license or some certification to be a poker dealer? In the United States, generally speaking, the answer is no, believe it or not. Some states do require something along those lines. It's one of these things where the actual physical dealer schools require that each individual dealing school is certified to be an educator. But at the end of the day, the casinos just do their own evaluation when they audition somebody to determine whether or not somebody can deal there. And there is no universal certification required. The thing that so currently for Virginia, what I'm building out is here, let me pull it up for myself so that I can speak to it better. Here it is. So the way that this is going to look, right now you can go and join my channel and you can learn how to deal Texas Hold'em. And Texas Hold'em is all that you need for most poker rooms. And when I teach Texas Hold'em, I teach like all of this stuff that's applicable to all forms of poker anyway. Okay? But that said, it falls within the Texas Hold'em because you have to learn how to do this stuff also to deal Texas Hold'em anyway. So I right now have it so that you can just join my channel, and if you join my channel for the Texas Hold'em package, where you get all the Texas Hold'em lessons, you can learn how to deal like more than well enough in order to pass an audition, provided that you put the work in and teach yourself how to do all this stuff that I'm teaching you. But some people run into trouble where they don't have the equipment at home. Maybe they don't know which cards to get. They don't have a table. They don't have even something that they can use as a table. So part of what I'm doing for Virginia is, let me see. I'm setting it up so that, let's see. First, I'm going to have a list of items that'll be in an easy place to find so that anybody in Virginia, or this can be applicable anywhere, Texas, any state, honestly, any country, a list of items for people to purchase in order to do the training at home. And I'm going to sort of try to keep it cheap and simple because, normally poker dealer school costs, $800 to $1,200 and sometimes even more. And you get a lot of training and they provide the tables and the cards and the chips and all that stuff. Well, not everybody's in a situation where they can be around that. And so what I'm aiming to do is provide the least expensive options that'll get the job done for somebody, such as a table topper, cards, chips, and just like links to make it simple. Then once they have the materials, they can join the channel, or they could join the channel in advance and just watch it and enjoy it. And then after that, I would have an additional certification test, which would basically be a video audition where somebody would have to have a camera that works well enough and be able to do a recorded Zoom call. So with Zoom, something that's really nice is say that somebody else, look, my setup here is really smooth for this. You wouldn't need to do this. Just use a phone or something like that and set it up for Zoom so that I could see your table. You might have to buy a tripod, but I would include a link to be able to purchase that and a little phone mount for your phone, okay? And then if somebody purchased time with me for a video audition, the certification would come back as me giving an audition to somebody and them being able to understand whether or not they're good enough to work in a casino now, and if not. So normally when you audition for a poker room, they tell you pass or fail, and they don't really tell you what it is you need to work on and why you didn't pass. But what I do is in the video audition, I give you all that feedback, and then I set you up with a plan to train yourself to do everything that you're not doing correctly. So I teach you how to do all that stuff afterwards. That video audition will end up costing some money, but it'll be well worth it because you'll be able to then take that video audition, which I'm going to record, and then you can refer back to it and make all the corrections one at a time as you practice hands moving forward, which when you audition at a dealer school, you can never do that. And then you would have the option to audition again, and then I could just send those videos directly to, you know, the poker rooms in Virginia, etc. And my goal is to create this whole little system that just makes it easy for everybody. So and I'm saying Virginia this much, but it could be for anywhere, honestly. It's just the poker rooms would have to get to buy into it, which it's a process. I feel pretty good about my network and being able to get people to do that. But let me see. I sort of want to get this keyboard out of the shot, still in the shot. Oh wow, all the way over here. All right. And this, I'll take some green chips. Why not? Just a few greenies. I just have these on the table in case anybody asks me anything about how to deal, right? Why not? Alright, and a dealer button. Yeah, I got one of those, but I think I like this one a little better. It's prettier. Alright. That's all set. Slide that back a little bit. Diego says, I just learned to do riffle box riffle from your old video. Very clear and useful. Are there different ways to shuffle cards other than this? So that's a great question, and I'm glad that you learned how to do that. So the first thing I'll say is the answer is yes. There are multiple ways to shuffle a deck of cards in poker and in table games. The one that you just learned will suffice at any casino. So my goal there was to teach something that will get the job done in any casino, no problem. And I would say nowadays, because I mean those videos came out in 2012, and many dealer schools use the True Poker Dealer videos in order to teach mechanics, which is shuffling is one of the mechanics. I've got my ID just sitting right here on the table. There are a lot of, like, if you think about the number of poker dealer schools that there are and table game schools that there are around, even the US, the country, the world, there's so many different schools. The instructors there do teach different methods of shuffling, and the reality is that as long as the procedure of shuffling is clean, it does not expose the cards, it doesn't allow somebody to manipulate the deck, and it doesn't damage the cards or anything like that. I mean, all of the methods that are taught, for the most part, I would consider to be good. I think mine is something that's nice and sustainable. It looks a little bit cleaner than some of the ones you see. I learned this both for poker and for table games, and the instructor I had was phenomenal, like a 25-year blackjack instructor. So I sort of went with the route that was more crossover-y, right? Like I wanted to teach a poker shuffle that somebody could also use for table games. So I actually taught the one that works for both. But yeah, there's a lot of different versions of it. And if you see it done, a good way to know is if you see it done in a poker room by a dealer there, chances are it's one of the methods that's completely acceptable. And just to see it, like there's some that try to teach to just come right out and like riffle from the middle. To me, it always creates like a clumped deck. Here, I'll show it like this. But I've also haven't practiced the other methods. But this method right here that you see in the video, it's real nice and easy and efficient. And one of the things that you see, like in my video, I learned how to box this way. If I'm being honest, boxing this way is when you learn how to do it really well, it's more efficient and faster, but it's also more complicated to teach that way. So I sort of felt like it made more sense just to teach the method that was easiest for somebody to learn. But it's ironic that, pitching is really hard and all that stuff. A lot of the stuff's really hard, but yeah, there's more than one way to shuffle, and that way is now a staple in the industry. But it already was even before I taught it, but now even more so. Let's see. But yeah, thank you for your question, Diego, and I'm super glad that you enjoyed the shuffle video. All right, so what else do I want to be working on right now? I've got all this stuff to do for True Poker Dealer. I think I'm going to start. I'm going to answer questions. Why did you post some videos 8 years ago and then stop now and come back to do YouTube videos again? I got such a hard time from people when I disappeared for 7 years and then came back, right? Totally fair question. I sort of laughed with all of the response to that. So basically, when I created True Poker Dealer, I made it because I was a shift manager in a poker room in South Florida, and I found myself constantly having to train dealers that worked in my poker room. Like, when you hire somebody as a dealer, that doesn't mean that they're perfect at everything. And it drove me crazy that there was nowhere to just send them, like no video to just send them so that they could improve their skills. So I literally made it myself. And my plans to finish it were short-lived when I realized it's a lot of work to build very clean videos that teach how to deal. For the mechanics, I was able to do it with the types of videos that you see online from back then. And I wanted to continue making videos that were just like that, except I needed more players in order to teach everything at the table. And so I kept hitting a wall where I was trying to do it, and I had my first kid right around that time. I have 2 kids. I got divorced. Like, all this stuff happened where I just let it get in the way, honestly. And, I later went down an entrepreneur path where now I am an entrepreneur, and I have been one since 2016. And True Poker Dealer has just been sitting there for a long time, and I've loved it the whole time, and I really wanted to finish it. So the way that I decided to finish it was to do live stream instructions where I teach without players at the table. It's not quite as good as if I had players at the table and everything was scripted, but it's so much easier. So, at the end of the day, I decided to come back to True Poker Dealer because I really wanted it to be a complete how to deal poker go-to location. And YouTube also changed something where they made it so that I could have people join the channel. So I do want to shout out YouTube for creating their beta version of channel memberships. Without memberships, I don't know that I would be back here, because it allows people to purchase the courses essentially. And to me, I love giving to the YouTube world, and I love giving to the casino industry, but I also I've done so many things for free, like so many things for free over the years, and I drove myself into the ground doing things for free for all that time. So I needed to give to myself, and this is like YouTube has provided a way to do that works, honestly. So I put my heart and soul into these courses, and I have had multiple people now go through these courses, learn what they need to learn about how to deal, and they're off and running and doing really well. I came back because I wanted to basically figure out a way to continue to provide for the industry and also monetize this skill and ability that I have to teach how to deal poker and how to it's a lot of work, not just teaching how to deal poker, but also being able to put it on technology and all this stuff. I received moving that around by accident. I received a nice compliment that I appreciate about how I was able to relatively quickly figure out how to I forget the terminology, but it's chroma key here, and make it so that I can just float around in here. But this is stuff that I like, and it's hard to be both a poker dealer instructor and also able to do this stuff. Luke says, do you have any tips for keeping track of the pot? So if a player splashes, hopefully by accident, you can keep track of what has been put in to be prepared to rebuild the hand. So this is floor call territory to a degree, and also, how to run your game. So if a player, let's say that the pot's over here. First, I like this question. It's like I can feel your pain for this probably came up, and you're just like, what do I do, right? And if that's not what happened, other people have experienced that too. So let's say that here's your pot, and you're on the flop, because that's why there would be a pot there. All right, and I'll put this in here, and you've got what's in the shot here. We'll say that this is a player over here with this chip stack. Get this out of the way. just sort of throwing this stuff in here. And we'll say they have the dealer button, and there's this player over here with this chip stack. And this player over here. So we'll give them cards, and them cards, and them cards. All right. I think we're set up for this. So, not how you would do this. I sort of don't like doing that where I say, do what I say, not what I do, but I'm just trying to answer your question. I hope you can appreciate that. So, here we go. So, let's say that it goes check, check, and it's this player's turn, and they bet like this. All right? So, first of all, as a poker dealer, in that moment, you have to say, sir or ma'am, whatever it is, you're not allowed to splash the pot. Your bets have to stay in front of your betting area. Then you immediately call floor, okay? Floor, table 2. The floor comes to the table, and you show this right here, and you say, it was this player's turn, it went check, check. So you basically explain what happened, okay? You don't want to form a judgment. You explain what happened. It went check, check, and then this player here made a bet that completely intermingled with the pot, all right? Now it's on the supervisor. So as the dealer, you've completely done your job. You've one, informed the player that they just took an action that is not okay, and 2, you've told them that now they need to have a supervisor determine their fate for what happens, okay? So as a supervisor, they come to the table, and they say basically, the supervisor says, okay, do we know how much the bet was? And as a dealer, then you would answer that question and say, well, it's some of these chips over here, and I'm not sure exactly which ones, but it's some of these chips over here. They kind of split it in. Now, the supervisor can go one of a few ways. One, they can say, and this is totally a rule in many casinos. It's different casino to casino. They can say, all right, we're going to reconstruct the pot and figure out how much this bet is supposed to be. Or, this is the rule part, they could say, once money intermingles with the pot, that becomes a part of the pot. Okay, so even though this player put money into the pot as a bet, it was on them not to intermingle it with the pot. Them intermingling it with the pot has now made that a part of the pot. And that player would actually lose that money to the pot. It's in the pot now, and if they wanted to bet, they could make another bet. I think most supervisors in this case would probably try to get the bet right and like ask the dealer, are there any chips here that you know for sure are a part of the bet? And the dealer would say like, well, I know these are, and I know these are, and I don't know, and I know this is, I don't know about any of the rest. Then the supervisor wouldn't just take the dealer's word, they would listen to the player. Maybe the player said how much they bet. All that type of information would come into it. Okay, if this is a home game, I think the best thing to do here is to not handle it super aggressively. If you can remember what the action was leading up to that moment, the person's like punishment for doing that is they stop the game and piss everyone off, and that's enough of a lesson in a home game for them to probably not do that again. But when players bet like this, it happens only with the most amateur of people, and people in casinos generally don't do this because they've sort of been trained not to. It's like you don't want to appear to be stupid or ignorant or anything like that. That's one of the barriers to entry in a casino poker room in the first place, right? So, again, this is a question of splashing the pot and what you do. So, in a home game, I would probably try to figure out as best as you could. And the thing that you really want to do as either a supervisor or a person running a home game when you have to make this decision is you want to make sure that if you're going to penalize something, you penalize the player. And what I mean is, if you think that they bet somewhere between 40 and 70, you want to give them 40, right? So if you think it could have been anywhere between 40 and 70, you really don't want a situation to come up where they splash the pot, you can't figure out how much it was for whatever reason, and then you have to then take extra money out of the pot and make it part of their bet. That's not okay. That would be their penalty as a result of that. But I do think most rooms would either recreate the pot and figure it out and tell the player, don't do that again. And then if the player does it again, maybe they kick him out or something like that. Or they would come up with a solution here where they make sure not to take any extra money out of the pot and try to figure out the bet. It would be something like that. Let me see what your question was again to see if I answered it. Do you have any tips for keeping track of the pot so if a player splashes, hopefully by accident, you can keep track of what has been put or prepare to rebuild the hand? Yeah. So then to that point, as a dealer, I teach pot limit Omaha in addition to Texas Hold'em. In Texas Hold'em, you don't really need to count the pot. In pot limit Omaha, you're actually supposed to know how much is in there at any given time. Still, as a dealer, you would never count it out and count it and then pull the bet back. You would never do that. Anything like this that happens is always done with a supervisor. If you're in a home game, then you can handle it differently. I do recommend as a dealer, though, that you always train yourself to count the pot because pot limit Omaha or pot limit anything requires that. It's a really good habit. And a little tip, as a poker player, a lot of dealers like to play poker as well. If you train yourself as a dealer to count the pot, man, does it make your decisions easier as a player. You've already trained yourself to count the pot every single time. It's automatic. You do it over and over again, it becomes automatic. And then when it comes time to do quick math in a spot, trying to figure out if you should call, if your odds are there, etc., you already trained yourself how to count the pot. It's such a valuable skill if you also like to play poker as well. So I do recommend that, but it's not a requirement in Texas Hold'em for the dealer to count the pot at all. Only to the extent that they get the rake correct, which often means you only have to count up to, say, $50 for the pot, and then you don't have to keep track of it anymore. Let's see. Vu says, thanks for the answer. Great answer and informative, Mark. Awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you for doing this for other poker dealers of other audiences. You're welcome. And Luke said he appreciated it a lot. Awesome. Twice. You said it twice. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate your content for sure. Let's see. Theo said, how does the side pot workshop? And then Theo corrected it to, how does the side pot work? So basically, in poker, a player is only allowed to win the amount that they put in, right? So not everybody starts with the same amount in poker. So let's go like this right here. So let's say that this is all that this player has left. Let me make sure it's in the shot. Can you see this? No. All right, I'm going to move this button and this over here. So we haven't actually been able to see this super well. All right, so let's say that this player right here has these chips and that's all that they have left, okay? And we're on the flop right here and pretend that none of that, actually we'll go to the turn, okay? None of the other stuff happened, all right? So we're on the turn and this player right here, ooh, I'm sort of in the way. Let me get out of the way here, perfect. Hey, I can do that. So this player right here decides to bet this amount, okay? So we'll say that they bet 100. And this player right here decides to call. Okay. Well, this player right here does not have 100. They only have 50. So this player right here is not allowed to win 100 from each player. They're only allowed to win 50 from each player. So essentially what you do is you think about it like this. This player's 50, 50 from this player, and 50 from this player go into the main pot here, right? And that's what this player is eligible to win. And then these players still have more money left, so they have their own pot right here because they were both able to put that amount into the pot in the first place. Each side pot is just I'll say, iteration of that concept, right? You have to have enough money to win off of someone in order to win the rest of their money. You can only get an equal amount from them. So now, if this player bets again on let's say the river comes out, right, and this player bets again right here, and this player wants to call, they can bet and call 65. So now this is a side pot. So this player right here has a pair of eights. This player right here has a pair of queens. This player right here has two pair, queens and eights, right? But let's try this. What if this player had 3 eights and they had the best hand? Well, they did not put in enough money to be eligible for any of this. So they're only going to win here. So as the dealer, first you evaluate these two hands, and you would say queens and fours with a king beats queens. You muck that. This side pot goes over here. And then you evaluate between queens and fours, this hand, and 3/8, this hand. And now this player wins the rest over here. And in my course, like, this stuff can get pretty complicated pretty quickly when you have lots of players involved in a hand. And in my All Texas Hold'em Lessons course, if you join my channel, I teach multiple ways to do this, and I do 9 players all in at the same time with varying amounts. And that video is very helpful for anyone trying to learn exactly how to handle all scenarios. I mean, it's worth the amount of the membership alone, because this is the thing that people have the most trouble with when it comes to dealing. It's like the mechanics are relatively straightforward. You can learn how to shuffle, you just train your hands. But understanding the concepts for how to actually implement that stuff that I just showed now, really, really powerful. And that's all in the course. Let's see. So Theo, I hope that answered you for the concept of what you were looking for sure. Now I have to stack all these chips up. I made a mess. That's what happens. No big deal. All right. So what can we do in the meantime here while I'm sort of waiting? I think what I want to do is get my little keyboard out. Let's see. I'm going to identify the items for somebody to deal at home. I think that's what I want to do right now. So let me put this together. I've got my. If any of you guys are trying to like do stuff on your own and you don't use Trello, boy do I recommend Trello. Trello. It makes your life so much easier. What do we got here? But yeah, I am still here, happy to answer questions, no problem at all there. You know, I really do wish that I made my own training products. If anybody has a hookup for that, where I could get branded, manufactured training products, that would be amazing. We would sell a decent amount of them because, like, I was looking at someone else had an online course on how to deal poker, and they were charging like $800 for the materials for people to do it at home. And I think that they were basing it on the fact that typically people spend, you know, $1,000 or so in order to go to dealing school, and nobody wants to spend that. Like, I don't even want to tell people to spend that much. It's so much money to go to dealer school right now, especially during COVID. It's a very interesting time for everything. So what are the materials that these poker table toppers have been selling quick? I don't know if any of you guys pay attention to Freakonomics or any of the economics, but when COVID came along and made it so that, you know, more people were at home, etc., a lot of home poker products started selling and the price started going up. Like, poker tables went from about $180 up to like $300 or $400 something just to be able to get them. I'm curious what they are now. Like, they had a ESPN folding table on Amazon, and it was there forever for less than $200, and now it's like, let me see, ESPN poker table. I'm curious what it is now. $318. Ooh, they do have a version of it that's back up for $180. So I stand corrected. Well, it's called a Lucky More, so it's a different brand. This is good, but I need one that has a tray in it. I continue to need a poker tabletop that has a tray in it. I'm sort of looking this up right now. Let's see. This is my work that I'm doing, and I feel very available to answer questions. I'm making it so I can see the chat box too. I really do enjoy the questions that you guys ask about how to deal. Anything from the most complicated stuff down to the very basics. Always enjoy all that. Let's see. Oh, they have the individual trays, but that's not what I'm looking for. If any of you have ever tried to buy one of the, or have thought about buying one of those rubber poker mats, they're really nice looking. I have one right here, but unfortunately, I can't recommend anybody getting it because the rubber is just really rough. I ended up using this for my son to build a channel. Like, it's really nice, but this rubber is just really, really hard to use. I haven't been able to actually deal on it because you can't get under the cards still. You still need foam, and I haven't actually tried to use it on foam before, but I felt real felt with foam is still the way to go in order to be able to do all this stuff. Luke says, is there a way to direct message you to discuss your training idea? Yeah, you can. Let me see. The easiest would be to email me here. If you send me an email to Mark, M-A-R-C, @truepokerdealer.com, we can discuss whatever you'd like. And I mean, I'm also on Facebook, but I'm not super attentive to it. But yeah, like, I've had a handful of people ask me questions, how to do it, all this stuff. I get emails all the time, and super excited to answer whatever you need. Or I'm not sure if you're saying that you want to know about it, or if you want to help me build it or whatever. But yeah, send me a message. Absolutely. I'm pretty good with email. Let's see. I'm still looking for the poker table topper that I want. Should I share this in the window capture? Yeah, I'll let you guys watch with me. Amazon poker table topper. All right. Oh, I gotta move this above here, I think. Oh no, I just gotta do that. Oh, this thing is huge. I'm just putting this up here so that you guys can share and see what it is I'm doing at the same time as me. Let's see. I want to make this a little smaller. Oh no, not like that. I still want to capture all that. I don't want to do this. There we go. Yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna keep browsing now. I'm looking through on Amazon. So this table that I have right here, actually, I do want to say this, and this is in case anybody can help me. This table that I have right here that has this tray built into it. Hold on. You can see the tray that's built into it right here on the top. This is basically somebody, I don't know who, somebody took a regular folding poker tabletop with a tray built into it and added a way to put folding legs on it, and I just bought it myself off of them, and I haven't been able to find additional copies of it. And so yeah, it's like, I'm looking for a poker tabletop like this. I just think this would work the best. It's bulky, it's a huge kind of pain, but it's still the best option. It is actual felt with actual foam. The ridges in it are a bit annoying, but you've seen me use it. It's fine. Like, talking about a cheap solution is my point. And then it can be used for a home game too, and you can put it right on a dining room table. So I'm trying to find this. This is what I'd like, but I like when I go through Amazon, the volume's not necessarily there, so I got to figure something out. Luke said, will do, and then he said, I would like to help. I have been a remote trainer in an unrelated topic for the past 6 years. I also have colleagues in the professional learning development field. Oh, that sounds awesome. All right. Excited to talk to you. Looking forward to your email, Luke, and thanks for spending your time on this live stream. Super appreciate that. Yeah, that should be interesting. I really, really like how creating a channel on YouTube, this is for anybody that wants to hear this message. Creating a channel on YouTube has connected to me to so many amazing people. Like, I love that about this. Someone asked me earlier, I think it was Vu Tran asked me, you know, why I disappeared for 7 years. Even when I was gone, like, over the course of that 7 years that I was gone, I had a ton of people still reach out to me, and I ended up making a lot of really cool friendships from every field of business to like marketing to poker, like all these things. It's been really wild. Anybody out there, if you have a skill that you know how to do and you enjoy, if you put the work into creating a YouTube channel, it's going to be shaky at first. You got to figure it out, all that stuff. It ends up being worth it because people reach out to you and you meet a lot of really awesome people. So, you know, Luke right here, I got it crossed, but you seem awesome. So I like that. Well spoken, etc. You know. Let's see. This is sort of it, but oh, I stopped sharing it. So this is sort of it, but it's missing the tray. Anybody that's trying to do this is going to need a dealing tray. And yeah, look at this. No, let me just look at regular poker table topper. So this is sort of it, but the one that I have has a tray in it, and this one is not. Without no tray, no deal. You know what I'm saying? No tray, no deal. All right, let me look online. Regular. Amazon is a swing and a miss. Got to run, but I sent you an email. Please reach out. You got it. Thank you for sending it. Poker table topper with tray. Let's see. So there's all these ads. Images for poker table topper with tray. Amazon bestseller. Amazon's got this SEO thing down, that's for sure. Walmart. Buy solid and durable poker table tops. Let's see what that means. Are you guys enjoying this, by the way? Like, just kind of seeing what it is that I'm looking through? If this is not enjoyable, let me know. No. See, this pad that I just showed you. Man, they want $50 for it, and they're acting like it's on sale, sort of. Or no, they're acting like it's beating a competitor's price. $150 for this. These things should not be that expensive. My table has this exact thing with a tray built into it, and legs, and all this stuff in order to be able to do that, and I paid $180. I would be looking for a reasonable price. So let's see. AmericanGamingSupply.com is where I just went. If you're watching this and you own AmericanGamingSupply.com, I went to your site looking for the exact thing I wanted. I wasn't able to find it. I'm not the only one. Just saying. And that's for this specific item. I'm not telling you that you're doing anything wrong. I'm telling you one more product that people might want. That's all I'm trying to do here. Let's see. Nope. 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 Guys, still ask any questions you want, by the way. Anything that you guys want to know, I am here. All right. Walmart. Trademark Poker 80-inch Deluxe Texas Hold'em. Nope. It's that same one. Maybe I should have known that. I think it's funny. Sometimes people like watch me do this and they're like, dude, you already know that that's not it. We saw it earlier. It's like, it's funny seeing what other people... Hey, it's Virtual Insanity. I didn't know that was you, but you did send an email and see me in the live stream. So, all right, let me go back to your email. Hey, Ramon says hi. Hey, what's going on? All right, so I'm going to shut this off just because I don't want to blast his email for everybody, but here we go. Virtual Insanity. So, Virtual Insanity, I just want to make sure that you're the person that I'm thinking of. I do get a lot of emails. you sent me the videos of you trying to pitch faster, etc., correct? I just want to double check on that. Let's see. Yeah, this is the time to talk to me for sure. I had, let me see, 2 o'clock is when I start. I am a bit into the live stream now, but your pitch and accuracy, speed are all very good in the casino United States. I'd be happy to hire you. Yep. So, all right, there was one thing I definitely wanted to show you. And let me open up your video. I'm not going to open it for everyone, but I'll look at it myself for a second. So, I don't even know how to recreate that. Let me see. It's 20:02 here, day off today. Sweet. I assume that's like 8 o'clock your time, 8 p.m. Is it like that's military time, right? Normally I don't see a dot, I see a colon in between the 20 and the 02, so I'm just asking that question. So you do a thing where virtual insanity, if I'm thinking of you as the right person, you sent me the videos, you do a thing where I'm assuming that you already shuffled, right? So UK evening, yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, the UK, you have told me that before. So you shuffle the deck, right? And what you do is you, oh gosh, how do I even show this? This would be a turnoff to anyone looking to hire you. This is why I'm telling you this, okay? So you do a thing where I almost want to slow it down. After you cut the deck, right, you pick it up with 2 hands, you turn it sideways. Let me see what you do next. You turn it sideways, you put it in your hand, and then you sort of like get yourself going. I would tell you to fix that before I hired you as a dealer, absolutely. And I wanted you to know that. When you cut a deck, all right, first of all, a cut is done with 1 hand in the United States. I understand that in other places it might be different. The cut is done with 1 hand. After the cut is done, you use this hand right here to square up the deck. This is something I didn't actually teach in the original shuffle video, so listen to this. It's really important. I want to show this again. Okay, you don't want to be squaring the deck up in your hand here like this. That's an old school way to do things. When you cut the deck, right here is your moment with this hand to square it up as you're transferring it, and that's all you do to get this in this hand. Okay, that's a habit that you absolutely want to break with all the other stuff that you were doing, where you cut the deck and you lift it up like this and then go like that and all these things. It's simple. It's cut 1 hand in here, done. That's it. So that's something that I wanted you to come here and I wanted you to see that. It's going to make your life a bit easier because it'll get you like cut and then pitch, right? You don't have that extra like 1.5 seconds in there that you had in your video. And it was consistent for every like the six little video clips that you sent. And just if anybody's watching, Virtual Insanity sent me an email. So first he joined my channel as a member. So this is something that I'm a lot more open to when somebody's a member of the channel. So join the channel first, sent me an email with a relatively short request and explanation, and then the videos, there were 6 videos, but they were only 12 seconds each, okay? So I want to paint proper perspective. If anybody wants help, if you join my channel, I am super open to helping with little details like this. I might tell you to come join me in the live stream, but the thing I have to show you is a little bit complicated. But super, super open to it, and I appreciate you for joining the channel and supporting. Thank you. Destination Skyline says, hey, could you explain when exactly the difference rule applies? Let's say cutoff open raises to 6, so I can tell you're a poker player because you use that terminology, cutoff. Open raises to 6, also poker playing terminology. So this must be 1-2 no limit. Button 3 bets to 18, and the small blind goes all in for 33. Last raise complete or incomplete? Well, so in the example that you're giving, if the cutoff open raises to 6, my assumption is the blinds are 1 and 2, so I'm just going to make that assumption. So going from 2 to 6 is a $4 raise. This is important for you to learn because your question is trying to ask something that I don't think it's asking correctly. So when you go from from $2 big blind to a $6 raise, that's a $4 raise. All right. If a player wants to raise to 10 now and add 4 more to that, they're totally allowed to do that universally across poker. So let's see. Then the button 3 bets to 18. So now it's gone from 6 to 18. Now the raise amount is 12. So any player that wants to can raise, even no matter how many chips they have, they can now put in a raise of 12 more. 12 is the current raising amount. So they would be allowed to raise to 30 if they wanted to. So with a small blind going all in for 33, that is a complete raise. So there's nothing about that would even be probably related to the question I think you're asking. And Virtual Insanity says complete. 6 to 18 raised to 12, 18 to 33 raised 15, so it's done. So that is essentially correct. So what I would request you do, Destination, is I would request you use a different example to ask the question you're trying to ask, because in this case I think you got caught up by the complexity of the raise amount. If you ask a question on the flop, turn, or river, where there's not a $2 big blind already, I think it changes you. But it seems like you have the assumption made that doubling the bet is the minimum amount to raise at any given time, and that's actually not true. Hey, sorry if I missed it in one of your videos, but my question is, how do I handle someone getting up from a no-limit hold'em cash game when it was going to be their small blind, the whole 2 small blinds, 2 big blinds type thing? Gotcha. Yes, 1/2. All right. Ayindi Ross. I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. I am going to get to your question in a second. I'm going to finish with Destination first because Destination's question is now being continued in the comments below, and I feel like it makes more sense to finish that and then go to you. So just hang on for a second. I'll get back to you. So let's see. We were talking about a raise to 6, a re-raise to 18, and then an all-in in the small blind for 33. Now you're saying yes, 1/2 or 1/2. So 1/2 no limit. Okay, it looked like 1/2. I had this happen to me in my last shift. That's why I asked about this exact situation, and I said incomplete at first because it wasn't obvious to me at that moment that it was complete. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, the first thing is that that's awesome that you were dealing and dealt with this situation. So in your specific example, remember, the amount that can be raised at any given time is at least the amount that was raised last time. Okay, so we just talked through how at first the big blind was 2, then the raise was 4 more, so anybody can raise 4 or more. Then the raise was 12 more, so anybody can raise 12 or more. And then this person went all in for 15 more when it went from 18 to 33. So that was completely acceptable for them. However, an all-in, a player can go all in for any amount they want anyway, all the time. So if your question is, could the small blind go all in for 33? Yes. Could they go all in for 29? Yes. Even though that's not a complete raise, not a problem. Could they go all in for 20? Yes. They can go all in for any amount that they want in No Limit Texas Hold'em. So, and then the question is whether or not that reopens the action to the player who made it 18. Well, in most poker rooms, the player that made it 18 is going to be able to raise again if the small blind goes all in for 30 or more, which would be a raise of 12. So if that's your question, then I think that helps. I also do want to mention that there is a complexity with this. If you're on the West Coast in the United States, there is a different view for these types of situations than on the East Coast in the United States. I like the East Coast mentality better. They took it from online poker to a degree, and it just makes running the game smoother. But basically, I watched the TDA Summit from 2019. I went in 2017 in person. I wasn't there this past time in 2019. But the TDA Summit, the Tournament Directors Association Summit, where they have all the smartest minds that run the biggest poker rooms in the world, get together and they set up tournament rules. They're not even on the same page for some of the stuff related to what you're asking in this question. So here's what I'll say. It's going to be easier for you to think of the minimum raise that was just created as the amount that reopens the action for somebody and not worry about completing or incompleting the bet. That said, if your poker room has a set of rules, learn those rules instead of what I'm saying. But it's just if they do more than the minimum raise, then anybody that's acted on the previous amount can now raise again. And if they do less than that amount, then it requires a full raise amount in order for them to be able to do anything with the action. The example that they gave was in a tournament. Do I have the chips for this? Actually, I'm gonna save this extra explanation. I feel like it might get confusing. I think I'm very open destination. If you want clarification on anything I just said, please ask in the comments. It says, yes, the reason for my question was that the button wanted to raise again. Thanks for your clarification. Got it now. Oh, great. Yeah, so the button would be able to raise again because the amount was over 30, or it was 30 or more. Awesome, which was a $12 raise at that point. I do have a video that goes over all that stuff in the Texas Hold'em Lessons membership section. It covers that stuff in a lot of detail so that you could get insight into all those things. I don't really sell my course this way, but it is worth saying that anybody that's an existing dealer that's new, if you get the All Texas Hold'em Lessons membership on my YouTube channel, which all you have to do is just join the channel and you'll find it, it will make your life tremendously easier if you put in the 30-something hours to go through all that content, especially if you're already dealing. Like, you'll end up making more tips, you'll end up making less mistakes, and just saving your supervisors a ton of headache. You'll learn how to talk to supervisors in a more powerful way. Like, there's so much stuff in there. I hate promoting my stuff for what it's worth. I'm actually saying this because it will help. Let's see. So Ayinde Ross says, hey, sorry if I missed it in one of your videos, but my question is, how do I handle someone getting up from a no-limit Hold'em cash game when it was going to be their small blind? So if the big blind, so there's first of all, I'm not sure. Do you work in a room? If you work in a poker room, and the reason I have to ask this, there's multiple schools of thought on how to handle the blinds in general. Each poker room has its own system for it, basically. And if a poker room, the reason I'm saying this is your question implies one of the systems that I actually don't recommend. There are systems out there that say that there always has to be 2 blinds in Texas Hold'em cash game, and they even carry that over to tournaments as well. And most of the poker industry, and I'm leaning on the TDA as the ones that sort of set the tone for this, most of the poker industry does not use the system where with the 2 big blinds type thing, or the 2 small blinds, or you can get blinds on the button and all that stuff. I do go over both systems in the course, and I lean toward the one that I'm trying to lean toward right now as well. But basically, here, let me just give you your exact specific example. And I'm going to preface it by saying this. I do not recommend this system. I don't recommend it, but I do acknowledge that multiple poker rooms use it in the United States and in other places possibly as well. So I'm going to sort of honor that and say, here's how it works. So you've got a player here, player here, player here, say a player here. Usually I need about 6 seats in order to illustrate it properly. And a player here. Alright, and we'll give each of them some small unit chips too. Alright, so here's your button. This player's the big blind. And let's say that they go all in on this hand and they lose. Alright, now they've lost. Actually, we'll say that they lose to this player here. We'll pretend that was possible. Alright, so they lose to this player here. The button moves over here, and this was supposed to be the small blind. Okay? So, in the system that you're asking about, which I don't recommend, but I am going to teach, this player was supposed to be the big blind. The small blind is missing right here. So your system would have the big blind, there would be 2 players that have blinds out here. Okay? Then on the next hand, the button would go to this player here. This player would be a small blind, this player would be a small blind, and there would be a big blind here. And the school of thought there is that there should always be 2 blinds at least, and everybody has to pay a big and a small in order to get the button. I don't like this system because it ends up having players pay their small blind on the button. I don't think blinds should be paid on the button. It's not necessary. However, this is how that would work. Then on the next hand, it goes back to normal where you've got the button moves here. It goes small, big. So basically this player just had to be in a situation where they paid their small blind on the button and they didn't get any button that was completely clean. To me, it's taking a concept in poker that there should always be 2 blinds and taking it to the extreme that's not necessary. Using the other system that I do recommend, if you've got a small blind here and a big blind here, if this player goes all in on this hand and loses to this player, the next hand you got a button here, a dead small blind here, and a big blind here, and there's just 1 big blind that hand. And then the next hand, it's going to go small, big, and this player. So the argument for the system that the rooms that you're talking about have is in this system, a player can get last position 2 hands in a row, right? The button goes here next hand. No new player can come and be this position, so this player is getting last position twice. But over the course of poker, it works itself out where it's even. So I like this one better because I think that it's the lesser of 2 evils to have players forced to play their button with a blind in. It changes a lot of things, and in my opinion, it makes more sense to follow the industry standard as well, which is not to do it that way. But that said, like I said, a lot of rooms do it that way, where they have the 2 big blinds and then small, big, and stuff like that. And I am in no way saying that I don't support them doing that at all. I just think that another method, the one that I just showed, works a little bit better in poker. So that's the one that I would run in a room. And why? Because I think that it's more consistent in the industry, and it does a better job of preserving the button's position. Destination said, this just reminded me of another situation I had in my last shift where the current big blind lost his stack. Okay. He had to get another stack from the floor man. He came back and would have been the button, but isn't allowed to play it because he missed the small blind, but he was basically forced to miss it. Let me get that out of there for a second. Ayinde said, thank you, that was great. Well, I'm glad I was able to cover what you needed. That's awesome. So, all right, destination. I'm now very curious where you actually work. Is it a poker room? Is it sort of a underground room? You don't have to answer it, but I'm curious because it sounds like the room that you're working in just doesn't know the common ways that these situations are dealt with. Most rooms, if a player wants to rebuy, it's a casino in Germany. All right, well, that totally makes sense, and German law might prevent certain things from happening in the poker room. But in the U.S., what would happen in that situation is you've got this player here, you play the hand out, You play the hand out. This player busts. All right. They just keep losing to this player. This guy must be good. So the next hand, this player, as the dealer, I would say, are you going to rebuy? I don't want to just start dealing the cards out. I would say, are you playing this hand? If they say yes, you ask them how much for, and they either take the money out or and buy in with you if you're allowed to do that at the casino, or like you said, if they get it from a floor man, they get it from a floor man. But either way, in most places, you should be able to deal this player in. And even if they don't have the chips in front of them, there are ways to manage that where you just keep track of how much they owe to the pot if they decide to play. So my point is, this player should not be missing their small blind here if they're trying to continue playing. That said, if you ask them, are you going to continue, and they say, I don't know, or if they don't have money on them, well, that's on them, right? If they don't have money on them to keep playing and they need to go to the ATM or something, well, yeah, then they do miss their small blind. And because they missed their small blind, they're going to have to miss their button, and that's because they weren't ready to go. So my point is, most casinos are going to make sure that this player gets a chance to play the next hand. If your casino does not make sure that this player gets a chance to play the next hand, which it could be because of some kind of a regulation in Germany, maybe they say you're not allowed to play behind or something like that, or the way that the room operates might choose to do this, I would first try to see if you could make that change. It's hard as a dealer to get management to change, so don't try too hard. Don't get yourself in trouble. But I would personally say, hey, this player, here's what happened. Like, I would go to my manager, here's what happened. This player busted on the big blind. They didn't get a chance to play the small blind. We got an explanation. Let me finish what I'm saying. They didn't get a chance to play the small blind, and they should have had that opportunity. And as a result, they ended up missing their button too. It doesn't seem right, you know. So, all right, you got a response. The problem is that we are not allowed to change cash to chips at the table anymore because of money laundering reasons. So they have to go to the floor and buy chips there. So it sounds like the player has to actually get up and go to the floor in your room in order to buy chips when they bust. Okay, there's a very easy solution for this. All right, if this is something that is not allowed to be done because of whatever is the rules of either Germany, the city that you're in, or whatever it is, you gotta train the players to have chips in their pocket and be ready to go. Okay, there's no reason at all why your cashiers can't sell them extra chips if they want them in the beginning, right? So if the player has to actually get up because your room is not set up to be able to help them, like if it were my room, I would have what's called a chip runner available where the player busts. If they want, they put chips on the table, and as the dealer, I would say 100 plays, seat number 7 or whatever it is. I'd say 100 plays on seat 7, chip runner, table 2, something like that, where I'm calling out for someone who has the job of like keeping the table trays full and stuff like that. They also get buy-ins for people. Or I might say floor on table 2, seat number 7. That would allow this player to pull the money out, and then we don't have to change the money on the table, but they're still able to play because they're committing that amount to the hand. So then what happens is you get verbal declarations from that player each time they want to make an action in the hand, and because the staff is in possession of the money now, if they lose in that hand, the staff just gives the money to whoever they're supposed to give it to. So now you're saying, yes, you could buy from another player, and most people do also have extra chips on them, but some don't. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's you either have to have a position in your poker room that's attentive to the tables, where the person comes around whenever you need a buy-in, and then you have to be able as a room to say a player is playing with money behind, meaning that they have chips that are not visible on the table and it's been announced clearly to the whole table. You either have to set that up or you have to train the players to buy chips in advance so they have extra chips on them. Buying from another player at the table is interesting. I have seen that go wrong. I've also seen it go really right. So if you guys allow that, then you allow it. But yeah, given the way that your room is set up, unless you make an adjustment, that player is going to have to miss the button. And when I say investment, with the way that it sounds like you guys handle it, the player's going to end up missing the button if they don't have chips in their pocket and they just have cash. And so, it sucks because you don't want to be the one to say, well, we teach our players to have extra chips when they're the ones that just kind of got screwed. But yeah, like I said, the way that we handle that is allowing a player to put cash on the table, making an announcement that the cash plays, and getting somebody to do their buy-in while that's happening. You said after this happened, I asked the floor about it, and he said he would personally just deal the guy in, but in theory, I wouldn't be allowed to. So I could have asked everyone if they were okay with it, and then deal him in or not. Are you allowed to play with money behind? Like if he pulls out $100, or I'm sorry, I don't know the currency in Germany, but if he pulls out 100, we'll say that. Like in your room, are you allowed to deal him in and then communicate to your staff in your room, like floor, table 2, that this player is playing behind and they need this changed for chips? Is that something that you're allowed to do? Because I would totally deal him in, and most of the rooms that I've worked in, not all, but most of the rooms that I've worked in have allowed that exact dynamic where you just deal him in because you know he's got the money there. You force him to leave it on the table. I'm not sure. All right, well that's something to find out, because if you can, like, even if your supervisor said to deal him in, right? You said in theory I wouldn't be allowed to. Stream stops every second. Oh, that's interesting. Is anyone else experiencing that? Stream stops every second. Ooh, it's okay now. I wonder if somebody's uploading on my network. Well, I'm glad it's okay now. Was that a new thing? Did everyone experience that? It seems smooth to me. That's why I'm asking. Let's see. Destination says, haven't had this ever happen to me yet. Oh, I gotcha. So yeah, that's something you want to have a conversation. Can I deal in a player with chips behind? No, all good. Oh, interesting. I wonder why that's happening, Ramon. Let's see. There's a lot of rooms that don't allow someone to buy from another player either. Because what ends up happening is when, say somebody buys 100 in chips from this, and then this player's got cash on the table, this player then will sometimes take that cash and slide it into their seat, and just everyone forgets about it. And yeah, they don't like to do that because of that. But personally, I think it's fine. Like, I like playing in a room where hundreds play on the table, so a player could just take out 100, and then if the dealer gets their hand on it, they change it out for chips if someone actually bets with the cash. But a lot of rooms choose not to do that. And it does make sense because the money that's on the table, if it's counterfeit, right, there's no protection against that. The chips aren't going to be counterfeit. Although I say that, I have actually seen scandals where it was Foxwoods a long time ago. They had counterfeit chips make their way back. They were green chips, make their way into the casino. And then all hell breaks loose. I did not work there. I was a guest hearing about it secondhand. Interesting. I haven't had this happen. Oh, you said no, all good. Oh, cool. All right, you said no, all good for the stream. Yeah, Destination, I really appreciate your questions. It's clear that you're trying to do the game super well. And yeah, let's see. I don't know how to pronounce this. Animex says, how does pot splitting work? That's interesting. It's not your fault at all. We did actually go over that already. But let's see. Do I want to do that demo again? Here's what I'll say. Because I already went over that, I'm going to say the easiest thing for everybody would be, I'm going to do a quick demo, and if you want to see a little bit more about it, you could go back earlier into this video and you could see it. It's when I've got 2 side pots going. Oh, actually no, I'm super apologetic. I did not go over that in this video, and I will show it. It's just a little tiny demo here. So if you've got, let's say, here's the pot. Now, this can get pretty complicated. I'm going to teach the basic version. I don't know why I thought I did this. I did not do this yet. So here we go. All right, so let's say that we've got we got these two hands in this pot right here. So this player over here, we'll say this player's all in, and this player has this hand. So make sure that everyone can see. So in this example, both players have a straight to the 5, a 5-high straight, all right? So the question is, how do we split the pot? Well, what we do is we first stack all the chips up, and we go largest denomination first, and we cut it in half evenly, and then we cut the smaller denomination chip in half evenly as well, and you want to stack this up and push it out just like that. There are a couple little things that can happen, like what if what if there was an extra 5 in here, right? So it would go like this, where you've got one stack, it's an uneven amount. So you create a new row, and you try to make an equal amount here. Well, in this case, there's going to be an extra chip. I mean, I wouldn't do this, but just to demonstrate it, even in this case right here, where you've got 2 even stacks and then there's 1 extra chip, in Texas Hold'em, the extra chip is going to go to the player who is going to be the next one to receive the button. They say closest to the button. It's really confusing. It means the person who's going to receive the button next. And then they get the extra chip, and then you push out the rest of these. When you push chips out, you want to put the smaller denomination on top. So that's how to split a pot. What is video poker? That's an interesting question. Video poker is it's sort of like a slot machine. It's a machine that you are playing against the machine. You're not playing against other players. You're trying to make as good of a hand as possible in most versions of video poker, where you get dealt something like 5 cards. So it'll be something like this. You spend, say, $1, right? And on the video, it's going to give you 5 cards. So I'm just going to pick 5 random cards. Just like that. And then you get to choose which ones you hold. And usually jacks are better. You get paid, and you get paid more for the better hand that you get. So here we've got 4 to a straight with an ace. So I'm going to say we're going to hold. You would on the screen, you would press hold here. And so then it's going to give you another card. And in this case, you got a straight, so you get paid. Say that your bet was $1, maybe you get 3 to 1 or something. I don't know what the payout is for a straight. A royal flush is usually the biggest one that you can get, etc. So yeah, it's just you playing it. By the way, this is pretty funny that we got a straight. This is hard. it's hard to get a straight in poker. Not super hard, but it's hard enough. But yeah, video poker is kind of like that, but it's on a machine, so you're just keep doing it over and over and over again. The appeal of video poker is it's a game where if you learn really good strategy, you might even be able to have a tiny edge. I'm not sure that that's true. I would check out wizardofodds.com to figure that out. I bet it's there. It's a big site that teaches a lot of stuff like that. Nice pull on the straight. Thank you. And then let me see. Alnimex says, have you ever had a royal straight flush? We just call those royal flushes. We get rid of the straight part of it because it's royal flush is known that it's the best. I have, yeah. Not in video poker. I don't really play much video poker. I prefer to play games where I can create my own positive expected value against other players, as opposed to playing against the house. I don't play much table games personally. I have dealt it before. I don't play slot machines or video poker very often either. I have played free versions of video poker and stuff like that, and I have never gotten a royal flush in those, but I don't think that's what you're asking. Let's see. Destination says, thanks for taking the time. You're welcome. Yeah, trying to make as little mistakes and trying to learn from them. Might also just be a German thing. I'm telling you, Destination, if you join my channel and get the All Texas Hold'em lessons, like, it'll make a huge difference, like, for real. It's just, it's like you go through the content once, especially if you're already dealing, and just everything's going to make sense. It makes it so much easier. But it is a lot too, so I get that. Let's see. Okay, Animex says, oh, okay, I'm new to poker. Totally, I get it. Destination says, as a poker player myself, I hate dealing ultimate hold'em. So counterintuitive at first when you're used to dealing poker only. That's interesting. Do you have to deal ultimate hold'em often? I think that's interesting. So I did deal table games myself. Like, I dealt Ultimate Texas Hold'em when I was a table games dealer, not as a poker dealer. But I kind of always liked the game because it was, it was like a fun thing to root for the players. When you're a poker dealer, regular Texas Hold'em players playing against other players, you kind of can't root for anybody. You do, don't tell anyone. But you can't because then somebody loses, right? But as an Ultimate Texas Hold'em dealer, you can totally root for the players. So I think that that's pretty fun. But what Ultimate Texas Hold'em, or what Ultimate, it's not Ultimate Poker, it's Ultimate Texas Hold'em. It is a table game where I actually did a demo of it the other day, but if you go to wizardofodds.com, you'll see kind of how it works, and I think they have even a demo you can play there. But be warned, it's fun, and it might cause you to go and lose money in a casino one day. Because you're playing against the house, and it's like predetermined. Like the odds are predetermined is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Abnami says, have you ever dealt a bad beat? If so, can you share the experience? A bad beat that resulted in a bad beat jackpot. I did understand that's what you meant. So I dealt one. It was in like 2007 or 2008 when I was in a small casino in Washington State. It was someone had aces full of jacks, and they were beaten by 4-of-a-kind fours, and it was interesting. Like it wasn't that big of a pot because these were people playing 1-2 no limit, and they were sort of used to each other, and so it was just like a lot of excitement, and nobody was actually upset that they lost. The person with aces full of jacks wasn't that upset they lost the hand. I did happen to deal it to the right player who tipped a lot, which was really cool. I think it was a $10,000 bad beat jackpot. It had just been hit recently, and they were using their backup fund. And then when I dealt it, the table split another $10,000. So the table got the bad beat was for $10,000. 40% went to the winner. 25% went to the. 40% went to the person that lost, that had the aces full of jacks. 25%, so 2,500, went to the person that had the 4 fours, and the other 40% was split amongst all the other people at the table. And like everyone was super happy. The paperwork took like 45 minutes, which kind of was a buzzkill, but it was cool. I mean, nobody's gonna complain about it. And I was sitting at that table for a while, and there's this weird dynamic where this was a poker room where like you're supposed to get tapped out every so often, but because I dealt the bad beat jackpot, I just had to stay at the table so that the tip would come, right? It's like sort of a weird type of hustle, but it's acceptable, even though a lot of hustles aren't acceptable. So that was how that worked. That was interesting. Let's see. Ernos or Emos Gambler says, what made you come back to YouTube after all these years? I left you a sub a couple years ago and suddenly you're back. Yeah, I actually answered this earlier in the session. I'll do it again with no issue at all because it's fun. Back then, I ran into challenges in the logistics of trying to create videos that were of the same quality, using what was available to me. This was in 2012. I had a digital SLR camera to do everything. It was I think I paid $1,400 for it or something. maybe more in order to get this camera. I forget how much they go for, but it was a Canon EOS 7D. I got it because it was one of the only ones that did 1080p, and also I could like control the lighting and all the stuff the way that I wanted. And it's just, there was a lot of effort that went into recording video back then. And so when I finished the mechanics, the shuffling and all that stuff, trying to create the rest of those videos was really hard. This was before live streaming on YouTube. I needed to get players in. I actually have a ton of footage, like a ton of footage that was me trying to finish the course, and it was just so much work, so hard. My computer back then was fast enough to use iMovie, but not fast enough to use Final Cut Pro. So I ran into issues when I was trying to edit it because I couldn't create multicam clips that actually worked. They would freeze the whole system. And trying to get players, like people that were friends of mine, to come over, like we had to plan food and all this stuff in order to get them to do the shoots. And it was just impossible because there was so much stuff that had to be scripted in order to make it perfect and all that stuff. So I sort of just like left it there, and it ended up becoming a staple of the dealing industry. And I always wanted to finish it. Like I even had videos that said that I would come back periodically and just, I really wanted to finish it. And YouTube in 2019 added channel memberships. And now that I can have people join the channel and do live streams, I mean, that changed everything for me. It made it so that I could actually monetize this. I said before, I'll say it again, I have given away so much of my time for free. I couldn't continue to do that, and that was one of the results. When I made True Poker Dealer, I was not trying to make money off of it. I just wanted the resource to exist. It didn't occur to me that by putting this out there, it would become kind of a product. I wasn't thinking about it that way. I was somebody that worked in the industry that just wanted the industry to benefit from this. And so 7 years later, I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back. I'm going to finish what I started. I'm excited to do this. I still like poker. And, LFG, as poker players say, which does not mean looking for group. It was something that I just, about a year ago, I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna monetize this. I'm gonna create this resource. I'm gonna balance giving people what they want for free and having the full package so that anybody can learn how to do this. So here I am. It was a lot to learn how to live stream, and I mean all the things that you guys have seen. This originally started when I came back. It started as a Facebook group, believe it or not. I was charging people $5 a month for a membership to a Facebook group, which I still have the Facebook group if anybody wants to join it. I'm not on there very much, but it's a good place to get hold of me. It's a free True Poker Dealer Facebook group nowadays. And as long as you don't expect me to get back to you quickly, because I'm mostly on YouTube, feel free to join that, and we can get whatever value out of it we want. But yeah, it started out as $5 a month. I was just seeing what I could do, and I started practicing live streaming on Facebook originally, and it's hard. Being able to speak coherently, answer questions, all this stuff is actually pretty hard. I had to learn this skill. So I guess the real answer to your question is a year ago is when I built up the nerve to go get it and make it happen. So I'm back. Ultimate Hold'em is different to Texas? No, it's Ultimate Texas Hold'em. It's a good question. Destination says, yes, we have to deal it sometimes, and it's a part of the dealer training, but we only have to deal it when no other staff members are available. I totally get that. So basically, it sounds like your poker room has table games on the side. If it's keep your own, oh my gosh, I'm dealing Ultimate Texas Hold'em all day. I'm going to make the players feel so good about themselves at that table, and when they hit trips for good amounts, I'm getting a good piece of that. I would love to deal Ultimate Texas Hold'em. It also depends on the culture, whether or not the people actually like playing it, though. Dealing any game, the more hands you get out, the more quickly you get them out, and the more connection you make with the players, the more money you get tipped. It's just that simple. Let's see. Chase says, dealing a no-limit Hold'em home tournament. Where do I put the first burn card with no chips to cover it? So I'm not sure what structure you're using, but NLH means no limit hold'em. In a tournament, the first burn card should only come after you. So if you've got a small blind and a big blind, all right, let's say that everybody's got cards. We'll just go like this as the example, right? I'm showing this so that you can ask your question better. All right, so basically everyone's got cards here. Tournament cash, it's all the same. There should be a small blind and a big blind. So if this player folds, this player folds, this player folds, we'll say this player calls, folds, folds, all right? And this player checks. You've got these chips, so you burn under these chips. So there should always be chips in a pot in any version of poker where you don't get to a point where you have to burn before there's chips that should be in the pot. So I would say I'm not sure like what scenario you say with no chips to cover it. I'm not sure what scenario you're referring to, because it doesn't come up in poker if it's being dealt in the traditional casino way. Destination says, problem is there's no routine dealing it because we only have to do it every now and then. That's fair. You can check out Vegas Aces on YouTube and just watch her deal Ultimate Texas Hold'em. She teaches how to deal all the table games. Her name's Heather. I was actually on her channel as a guest in her live stream like a week ago. I super recommend just watching her videos. It's Vegas Aces. And you can see how to deal Ultimate Texas Hold'em there, and maybe that'll help you as well. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Thomas says, what's the biggest pot you've experienced while dealt? I think you mean dealing. Yes. So the biggest pot that I have pushed was probably... When you say biggest, I assume you mean the largest dollar amount. I know I've broken 100,000 before for pots. Sometimes when I was dealing at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, they had these big games, and I did deal a what was it? Yeah, it was a 50, 100, 100. So the big blind had a big blind ante of 100, and it was a PLO. And some of those pots get ridiculously large. I also dealt 25, 50 PLO. The biggest games are usually not full tables. It's usually like 6, 7, or 8 handed, sometimes even 5. But yeah, they've certainly gotten up over 100,000. I don't have an exact number, unfortunately. It's one of those things when you deal for a long period of time, it all sort of blends together. Like, you become very desensitized to the dollar amounts of the chips. They're just chips. They're chips on a table. You push them, you play with them. Like, yeah, it's an easier thing, sort of. Emo says, thanks. Well, you're welcome. Virtual Insanity says, thank you for your help today. You're welcome. Animax says, I'm going to head out for now. Everyone have a great night. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming and stopping by. Chase says, I've been practicing by myself in preparation and thought there might not be a pot. Now I see there has to be one. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thomas says, who is your favorite poker player? Good question. I think that so I absolutely adore learning from Michael Lockey, but he's someone that I work with. He's cashed for over $1 million in live tournaments, and he's just a phenomenal explainer of poker concepts. I really, really like him. You can look him up on Hendon Mob if you want. Michael Lockey. Let me spell it just in case you want to know. That's sort of my I've been in the industry, so I have people that I'm friendly with that are pros, and also people that are like the ones you see on TV a lot. So Michael Lockey is the one that I like the most, and I work with him, and I have the live poker coaching banner up. I mean, he's the one I work with. The pro that I watched on TV, I have also dealt to him as well, that I like the most. Like I find myself rooting for Jason Mercier. Whenever he's in tournaments, it's just really interesting watching how he plays, how calm he is, how intelligent he is. His decision making is just so on point that I would choose him. So I'll put, and it's pretty fascinating because he's got a kid now, and he's just not in the poker scene as much, and he's taking care of the kid, and he's got an unbelievable skill set, and he's spending so much time with his child instead of going out and playing poker, which I know he's not tired of it, but he's being supportive to his wife, and there's a lot of value there too. But I certainly feel greedy wanting him to come back and play more. It is what it is, right? Yeah. Ramon says, poker players that represent a poker company, does that company pay their tournament entry, like for promoting that company? Sometimes. Right now, Daniel Negreanu is representing GG Poker. He's the ambassador for them. I don't know anything of the specifics for what he receives from them. It might be monthly dollars. It might be free entries. I'm totally making this up, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got free tournament entries to every single one of these bracelet events. I would not be surprised by that at all. Do I think that's what he's getting? Probably not. But yeah, listen, if you're a pro poker player, a lot of your buy-ins are covered. Like, they just want you to be a part of the events, and they want you to continue to promote their brand. And I have seen that firsthand. Like, we were talking about Michael Lockey. He was a pro that was endorsed by the Seminole Tribe, the Hard Rock brand, and he got a lot of perks as a result of that, and he earned them. I mean, he put the time in and all that stuff too. Like, he is still paying rake and all those things, but I've heard some of that stuff as well. Abnami says, do you have an opinion of all the drama with Daniel Negreanu? He was banned from Twitch after cursing out a person who trolled him, but the rant was, it says, awful. Maybe you mean awesome? He seems very angry. My opinion on Daniel Negreanu is let me see. So first of all, I am a fan of his. There was a stretch of time when I really, really liked watching him, and I do still like watching him play. I have tuned in for some of his live streams on YouTube. I did not know that he was banned from Twitch. I don't know that that's true. I do believe that you're not just making this up, but I don't have any way to confirm that. I have seen him on YouTube absolutely losing his mind. Now, maybe that was on Twitch that he lost his mind and he was doing that. He was super pissed off that the software of WSOP.com was not working properly in this year's bracelet event. And he really loses his cool sometimes. And this is something that's pretty common for poker players, because as a poker player, it's very easy to connect your emotions to a certain type of result. So Daniel Negreanu is amazing at disconnecting his emotions from the result. Although GG Poker makes it tough by doing all these things where you like squeeze your hand and you can squeeze the river and all these things. I think that's terrible for the emotional state of poker players, but it's great for putting people on tilt. But look, here's my overall opinion on him. If you take a snapshot of anybody over the course of their life and you choose when you're taking that snapshot, everybody's going to appear to be angry at times. I don't think it's fair to judge Daniel Negreanu based on some snapshots when he's being vulnerable and he's willing to stream consecutive hours and hours and hours on Twitch while and YouTube nowadays, which he does a great job on there. 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 people watching at once nowadays for these bracelet events. I don't think it's fair to take that little snippet and characterize him as an angry person. He talks about reading the 4 agreements and talks about when somebody's trolling him, that's their way of giving him feedback. I wouldn't say he lives it perfectly, but he does a pretty good job of not taking his stuff personally, and I have to give him a ton of credit. Live streaming and playing poker at the same time, as hard as it is, where you have people watching you, he manages to keep a stream of consciousness of conversation that is so easy for him while he's playing and concentrating on what he's playing. That's unbelievable, and it's interesting and it's engaging, and I don't have an issue with him losing his crap sometimes. Like when he goes totally crazy and just starts on a rant with somebody. I mean, people are constantly taking shots at him. I mean, Doug Polk, I don't know how this whole thing with him being heads up against Doug Polk happened in the first place, but it sounded like Doug Polk challenged him and Negreanu was like going to live up to the challenge. And this is something that the communication I receive is they don't like each other. And so he's kind of, I don't know if this happened already or is going to happen or what. This is from weeks ago, so maybe it happened already. But, I mean, you know, he's a target in poker because his face is all over everything. GG Poker even uses his face for the emojis that they have there. Like, my opinion on him is don't judge him by the things he does negatively. Judge him by the entirety of who he is in his big picture. He does a ton of work to improve things outside of poker, and he uses the platform of poker to do that work. He does have a tendency to probably over-support the things that he's connected to and be a little less objective than I'd like to see sometimes, but overall he's pretty damn objective as well. But yeah, I mean, look, you know, everybody's got their buttons you can push, so I definitely am a fan of his, and I just really think he should add super chats to his live streams. It's crazy to me that he doesn't add super chats. Like, people, when you have as big of an audience as he does, I even tried to say this and he read the comment out loud and then he didn't do it. When you have as big of an audience as him, like, maybe he has it off because he doesn't know what it is, and maybe he has super chats off because he doesn't want to like receive money from people because, you know, he's just got a different vibe for what he's going for. But people use super chats when you have 13,000 followers to get your message seen, and it gives people a way to put like $5 out there and get him to actually read their message. It's valuable to his audience to do too, and like I really want him to turn it on so that people have a line of communication to him like that. And I mean, he'll make some money for it. If he turned on super chats and live streamed every one of his tournaments because of how popular he is, he would get his buy-ins back and be basically free rolling just off of that. All he has to do is turn it on, and then he just doesn't. Seems silly to me, but who am I, right? Alejandro says, to be honest, I think it's interesting that he makes these lives because we can actually see this guy as human. Absolutely agree with that. He loses good hands. Absolutely agree with that. He plays others that maybe we wouldn't, and he gets emotional too. Yeah, all of that is dead on, and he is being vulnerable, and he's willing to affect his brand. He's willing to affect his masterclass by being vulnerable and sharing what it's really like for him. And I personally, as somebody that's on here and I'm sharing myself, I respect the hell out of that. And so I'm going to say, judge this person on the entirety of who he is and understand, you know, there's a lot of money at stake sometimes, and when he's playing, he really wants to get more bracelets in poker. And when he's playing and he's got cameras on him, he's pretty emotional about it. And, you know, I mean, he has earned it in his life to be able to be angry if he feels like it. Like, he's a self-sustaining individual who he's got a ton of money in his life at this point. And his reputation in poker is pretty pristine. Abnami says, I agree with most of that. He is the greatest, but he is an ambassador and should act as such. This was a situation where he didn't react well, but I still liked him. But he has a responsibility to keep poker as an upward moving sport. I agree that as an ambassador, GG Poker has the right and possibly responsibility to take action against him. And I mean, this is part of what you're doing when you take something on, like being an ambassador for an online poker or for poker in general. You do end up with some responsibility, but it's not up to us to judge what he should and shouldn't do. I don't agree with that. The people who sponsor him, that pay for him, have some say because they can always choose to stop doing that, and he can always choose to be himself and stop working with them. You know, he does not really have the type of responsibility, in my opinion, that it sounds like you're saying, where, I mean, you know, he doesn't have to care if poker grows as a result of him. And he doesn't have to care if people get turned off to poker because he acts like he throws a little adult tantrum at times. Like, getting that adult tantrum in every now and then is pretty fun. I'm not saying you're going to see me doing it on here, but I mean, look, you know, if you jump in and listen to some of my conversations with my ex-girlfriend, like, you know, it's going to happen. It's just a part of life. There's some responsibility there, but I think at the end of the day, the question is what's in his best interest, and that's probably the line that he should learn to walk. It's literally just what's in his best interest. You're saying, Mark, I hear you and don't disagree. He's human and does a tremendous amount for poker. We can give him a break for sure. Awesome. Ramon says, did you know that B. Negreanu is from Romania? Ramon, I totally apologize for skipping that comment. I see it up above as well. I was like, wait, I saw that already, but I forgot to comment. I had no idea about that. I have not confirmed that either. I do appreciate you throwing that insight in. I totally thought he was Canadian. So if he's from Romania, that's super interesting. And Abnami says, thank you so much for your time and knowledge. Well, you're very welcome. It's hard. It's hard to talk for this long in a row. Ramon says he is Romanian. Are you sure you're not just saying that because it sounds like Ramon and that's your name? Are you sure that's what's happening? He's really Romanian. He's Ramonian. That's what you're trying to say, right? Moved to Canada when younger. He is Ramonian. Romanian, yes, I know. I did confirm that ACM Ramon's name is Ramon. By the way, I want to say thank you, Ramon, for being there for so many of the lessons, those live streams, all that time. Definitely appreciate your support. You know, you've been here for a long time, which is awesome. And it also does give you a lot of credibility too. Let's see. So now we're getting some challenges on that. It's, quote, Negreanu was born in Toronto, Ontario in 1974, 7 years after his parents emigrated from Romania. So maybe the truth is that his family is Romanian, but he was born in Canada? I'm certainly not sure. Craig says, been enjoying your videos. When was in lockdown in Scotland? Very helpful. Awesome. Yeah, the timing of all this is pretty interesting with COVID. Imo says checkmate. Yeah, again, I don't know. So you could both be right, saying that he is Romanian, but he was actually born in Canada. I mean, that would be correct. I'm not going to sit here and start allowing my people to throw jabs at each other, though. I like you guys all. I want you all to be supported. I don't know how to do that all the time, but I try. But so it has been 2 hours now, and Maureen says, totally new here. Thanks for your channel. I'm going to watch everything now. Well, please go ahead, and you can join my channel too if you want to learn how to deal from scratch. I teach it all. Ramon says he speaks Romanian. That's for sure. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that he speaks a lot of languages. Negreanu definitely speaks a lot of languages. I wonder if he can feel that we're talking about him. Man, it'd be interesting. People are probably talking about him every second of every day. It wouldn't surprise me. Mate. It's funny. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys, and I love being here on Tuesdays with everybody. I am going to jump off now. I've got stuff I got to do. I had something scheduled for 4, and usually I don't last for this long. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody for joining this live stream, and then feel free to watch this one later if you missed it. But yeah, you guys are awesome. The questions in here have been great, and check out Live Poker Coaching, the YouTube channel, Live Poker Coaching, along with your poker dealer. Live Poker Coaching is going to be awesome. I am a 50% owner of that, just so you guys know. And I work with a poker pro on that. So it's going to feel like me there as well on Live Poker Coaching. And we're about to start releasing the videos in sequence. It's going to be 500 hands of 2-5 poker simulated and discussed. So we're looking forward to that for sure. So thank you guys. Have an awesome day and an awesome rest of your Tuesday. And if I don't catch you before then, I will catch you next Tuesday for sure. Later.